I'm here. I'm up. I don't want to be, but I am.
Burning Tesla economy certainly is, and now a movement against Elon Musk to get people to not set fire to, but sell their Teslas, not buy Teslas, and certainly sell off the stock is having a major impact on Elon Musk company, personal net worth, and his reputation as some sort of business genius that we should allow to run amok, tearing down our economy, tearing down our federal government and its relationship between the federal government and the American people. In fact, all of the value that Elon Musk earned by trying to buy a president.
I forgot something. One, turning the volume back up so you can hear me on chit chat. And oh, there it is. I need to do this.
Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Now we can roll properly.
And the high part of the stock market and his stock price back in December, it's gone. And completely down over 36% in stock price. I'm going to cover it all, including Elon Musk going after the activists that are leading the movement against Tesla on this particular hot take here on the Midas Touch Network and on Legal AF. Let's talk about Elon Musk. It says he's a genius. Doubled his net worth after buying the presidency by paying Donald Trump $200 million and helping him get elected. What's happened since? There is a movement that is out there of the Tesla takeover brought by the Troublemakers, another group out of Seattle led by Valerie Costa, who's an environmental activist, who now Elon Musk is going after and attacking in the debate. But JP Morgan, the analyst who covered Tesla stock, said that they've never seen in the modern history of American automotives an automotive brand lose more value in such a short amount of time than what's going on with Tesla right now. That's not my words. That's JP Morgan covering the Tesla stock.
Damn.
And who can blame that observation? The stock is down 31%. It's down 13% in just a week. Deliveries are down 26%. People are selling the stock.
Those of you standing up and going against these motherfuckers, good job. That's how you do it. That's one way to do it. Good job.
Record numbers, they want to get as far away from this burning Tesla as possible. Paul Krugman, an economist who writes in the New York Times, used the metaphor. He said, we're all locked in a burning Tesla. The question is, can we get our way out? And that's we just saw it happen in Las Vegas with literally a burning Tesla. Somebody self-immolated on purpose in order to protest. There's actually an app that covers how many people die in Tesla fires. It's called Tesla Fire. Good name for it. There have been 182 fires in the last 7 or 8 years of 53 fatalities. Now, the Cybertruck is worse, according to the statistics. Now, Elon Musk doesn't like the fact that his net worth has been halved, the value of the stock has been halved. So he's going after people like Valerie Costa. You know, when he's not too busy wrecking and tearing down our social services, our funding for social programs, for health care, for Medicare, Social Security, for education, and firing workers so that there are no people to be responsive to the American people who are looking for the benefits that they're entitled to. When he's not doing that, he's busy attacking people like Valerie Costa. And this is, I'll tell you from a legal standpoint, this is defamation. Saying Valerie Costa's committed crimes, that is defamation per se. She's not, she fired back this self-proclaimed troublemaker. She's making the right kind of trouble, trust me. Here's what she had to say. I'd like to address the lies spread about me by the world's richest man and ex-users. I have not committed any crimes. I've not been funded by Blue or by George Soros. That name is simply a tired anti-Semitic dog whistle. Yeah. I'm not inspired by Luigi Mangione, nor have I ever said that. I'm not encouraging any vandalism. Nobody's getting paid to come to these protests. I'm not the leader of Tesla Takedown. In fact, it's all of this is a bare-bones, low-budget, people-powered movement. Sounds a lot like the Light's Touch channel, which is exactly why Musk is afraid of any casting about to find a villain. Channel.
It's always hard for a villain to find a villain.
Musk is afraid of any casting about to find a villain. These are people holding cardboard signs and stickers along the side of the road, right? Putting stickers on Teslas, like trying to get them to be sold, and it's happening. I mean, JP Morgan comes out and says they've never seen an automotive stock value take a deeper dive in a shorter amount of time than now. You know it's working. See, we have an ability when we band together and join together to make those that we pay, who are supposed to be responsible to us as taxpayers, to make them hear us. And if they can't hear us, we have to kick them in the balls. And Musk, where he lives, which is Tesla, it's the way to go.
Yep.
Look, I live on a street where I walk the dog and I count at least 5 Teslas and 5 Cybertrucks. And I don't know. I really don't get it. I didn't like Tesla before Musk became an arch villain to American democracy. I didn't like the automotive guy. I didn't like the build quality. I didn't like the whole cultish approach to it. But I didn't like Elon Musk, and I like him even less now. I'm watching his assault. It's a full frontal assault on American democracy and the constitutional republic.
I'm with you on that one, Polpock. I never liked Musk. Musk always struck me as a sleaze. Always. I can't.
But so I applaud people like Valerie Costa and the leaders of the Tesla takedown and the troublemakers and getting into the right type of trouble. I'm not talking about setting Teslas on fire.
Nope.
I'm just talking about
what you done in doors today.
Spontaneously combust a lot. One recently in Phoenix, Arizona, caught fire twice. I mean, it's all electric. Paul Krugman reminds you when he does the piece about we're all trapped in a burning Tesla. In case you didn't know this when you bought the thing, the doors are not mechanical; they're all controlled electronically. You lose your electrical system in a Tesla, it's hard for you to get out of that car. I'll put it that way. I'm sure there's some mechanical device somewhere to try to burst your way out of there. He says it's bulletproof. That's great for if you're inside. How do you get out? I carry around in my car, one of these break glass devices. It's God forbid the car ever slides into something.
I'm going to make a statement here. And I made the statement when the first damn thing first came out. This damn Cybertrucks. I'll say it again. God damn. They want you rolling around in a steel coffin with a lock.
See, like water or something, like swim out, breaks the glass. It's supposed to break the glass. I don't know how you break out of it. Tesla. I don't know how the point of the analogy is how do we break out of the burning Tesla fire with Donald Trump and Elon Musk in control? It starts with bringing Elon Musk low, which we do by joining the bandit together and going and hitting him where he lives. That's what Canada is doing. And they're targeted tariff retaliation, going after red states, going after America in its pocketbook. It's the only way you can do it. It's the only way you can negotiate with a bully like Donald Trump is to kick him in the economic walls.
Yep.
Continue to follow it right here on Legal AF and other
Ponte de huevos. Every Wednesday and Saturday. Ponte de huevos. Is 46.
A whole stadium of judging eyes watch Quinn step nervously onto the stage.
Fox is very scared right now. Let me give you some data points. Consumer confidence is in the gutter. The economy is crashing. Donald Trump's Attorney General Pam Bondi promised to release the Epstein files. And now, surprise, surprise, she's covering it up. And Democrats are
usually I got
going into
TTS. They tell me
purplish
you guys followed.
where Republican Congress members
well,
are too afraid to hold town halls. Democrats are speaking with pissed off constituents and voters who are enraged at what Donald Trump and Elon Musk and Doge and all of these MAGAs are doing. So, what is the Fox propaganda machine doing? They are propagandaing it. Let me show you what they're doing. They have Kellyanne Conway, the queen of alternative facts. She goes on the Hannity show and she talks about consumer is up, way up, everybody. Here, play this clip.
Rates go down, consumer confidence going up. Everything is turning up Trump and
consumer confidence is way down. It's the worst University of Michigan inflation expectations since 1993. It's the worst University of Michigan consumer sentiment. They're the university that takes these consumer survey data. They're the gold standard. It's the worst University of Michigan consumer sentiment since 2022. And the big news in this University of Michigan data was not simply the inflation expectations and consumer sentiment. Look at what people are saying about the jobs market. Expected change in unemployment is the worst right now since the 2008 recession. So let me fact check Kellyanne Conway right there with actual data. Then Sean Hannity is terrified of Democrats going into these red and purple districts. So Hannity says, look, if you're in one of these conservative areas, be careful. The Democrats may be talking about like transgender people playing sports. Ooh, here, play this clip.
Probably in all likelihood. And according to reports, they're now planning to take this show on the road. And they want to have town halls for Republican districts across the country. You may want to go. Might be entertaining. Might have a few questions for them. I would ask that you not be like them and be polite. But beware, if you are in a conservative area of the country, which is most of the country, a radical Democrat might be coming to a venue near you to spread their message in support of men and their right to play women's sports.
That's all they have at this point. All they have is to try to bully marginalized communities as Donald Trump and Elon Musk take a wrecking ball to Medicaid, Social Security, cruelly fire our heroic veterans, gut the NIH, CDC, Department of Education, attack the most vulnerable, attack poor kids. And what are the MAGA Republicans talking about? Oh, the Democrats are coming in to talk about transgender volleyball players. What the hell are they even talking about then? You have Alan Dershowitz, Donald Trump's lawyer. He goes on Fox and he praises how great Donald Trump's Attorney General Pam Bondi's doing. I think she's doing great. So Dershowitz, Trump's lawyer, also has some connections with Jeffrey Epstein, I might add. So maybe this is why he's praising Pam Bondi. Maybe Fox's platform, I don't know, but you can judge for yourself. Here, play this clip.
Well, look, I think we're on the right track. I think Pam Bondi has an extraordinary experience. She's tough.
She has the right priorities. And remember, Pam Bondi said she was releasing the Epstein files, but it turned out she just brought in a few weeks ago those MAGA influencers who were handed binders that says the Epstein files. Here it is. It wasn't the Epstein files. Remember what it was? It was like Epstein's
Fucking call-offs.
phone list, which was released many years ago, by the way, which had Donald Trump's phone number on it, and lots of Donald Trump contact information on it. But let me just give you this data point on Alan Dershowitz, Trump's lawyer, former lawyer who was on Fox, who was saying Pam Bondi's doing a great job. Take a look at this case.
I never saw a young underage woman.
Yet Epstein's former butler swore under oath that Dershowitz was at Epstein's residences at the same time underage girls were there.
Were there young women in another part of the house giving massages when I wasn't around? I have no idea of that.
Dershowitz did say he once received a massage at Epstein's mansion, but from an adult woman.
I kept my underwear on during the massage. I don't like massages particularly.
CDKeys.com. Shop the latest games and upcoming releases at the best prices. Enjoy incredible savings with up to 25% off. Don't miss out. CDKeys.com. Pay less, game more.
Daily Email Kitchen Choose from a range of flexibility options.
Sorry about that.
Choose.
Kept my underwear on during the massage. I don't like massages particularly.
Told you we got to come with receipts here on the Midas Report. That's what we're going to do. So then, as Donald Trump is crashing our economy, as people's 401ks and pensions are in the gutter, but according to Kellyanne Conway, things are great. Who does the Trump regime bring to the Fox show? Maria Bartiromo, Kennedy at Donald Trump's one of Trump's chief propagandists. They bring on Trump's Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, and he's like, "Whoa, no way! There's going to be a crash." The Atlanta Federal Reserve, no way, they're wrong. Watch what he has to say. Play this clip.
We've seen worries about growth. I know you said you're not expecting a recession, but investors are hedged over the possibility of a recession this year after the Atlanta Federal Reserve said that it's predicting a 2.4% contraction in the first quarter. And of course, President Trump would not.
What? Wait. Say it again. A what? A what?
The Atlanta Federal Reserve.
Traction?
Correct. First quarter.
Right now. That is ridiculous.
No, it's not.
Then on the Laura Ingraham show, they hosted J.D. Vance, and he just said a bunch of word salad about how he's deferential to Donald Trump. I didn't try to even make sense of what he's saying here. Let's play.
But I just wanted to answer the question, and then, of course, something I said in my answer caused a blow up. Zelensky got frustrated with it, and then everything went from there. The president, what I try to do is obviously he's the president, I'm the vice president. I try to be respectful, but I also recognize that sometimes the president wants me to say stuff, and of course, if I think there's something I'd like to say, and I think that it's going to be deferential to the president, I'll jump in.
Excuse me. When did they put a voice box in Kendall? They don't even have him anatomically correct. When did they put a voice box in him?
And offer my thoughts.
All right, coming up, Fast Growing Trees is the biggest online nursery in the U.S. with thousands of different plants and over 2 million happy customers. They have all the plants your yard needs, like fruit trees, privacy trees, flowering trees, shrubs, and so much more. Whatever plants you're interested in, Fast Growing Trees has you covered. Find the perfect fit for your climate and space. Fast Growing Trees makes it easy to get your dream yard. Order online and get your plants delivered directly to your door in just a few days without ever leaving home. Their Live and Thrive guarantee ensures your plants arrive happy and healthy. Plus, get support from trained plant experts on call to help you plan your landscape, choose the right plants, and learn how to care for them. I got a lemon tree from Fast Growing Trees. It's my favorite thing in my yard. I was worried about ordering plants online, but it arrived fresh, strong, and ready to plant. Plus, now I get to just walk outside and pick my own citrus. Not to mention, it smells amazing every time I go out. And by the way, big yard, small yard, no yard at all, doesn't matter. Fast Growing Trees has over 6,000 plants that fit any space, from indoor plants to fruit trees to full-size privacy trees and more. Fast Growing Trees has plant experts on call, so if you're like me and don't have a green thumb, they'll help you choose the right plant and keep it the
I
riot.
can't keep
This
these
spring, they have
patents.
best deals for your yard, up to half off on select plants and other deals. And listeners to our show
Not
get
without
15% off
possibly
their first
losing
purchase
information.
when using the code MIDAS at checkout. That's an additional 15% off at fastgrowingtrees.com using the code MIDAS, M-E-I-D-A-S, at checkout. Fastgrowingtrees.com, code MIDAS. Now is the perfect time to plant. Use MIDAS to save today. Offer is valid for a limited time.
Oh, there
Terms
we
and
go.
conditions may apply.
And then Hannity brings on Donald Trump's
Yeah,
national
stuff is-
security advisor, Mike Waltz, who just spews Russian propaganda. And I like the way Hannity, like it, but Hannity in this clip acts like, so let me just see if I postulate this correctly. So what you're saying is, I suspect the deal is going to be like this. Like, Hannity's like actively involved in Trump administration policy as well. He's just giving like the layup to spell it out to his audience. Play this clip.
If I were to imagine how this deal unfolds, it's going to be the rare earth mineral deal, a component that keeps U.S.
Can I
involvement
flare
and
up my left
presence
ear?
in Ukraine. Maybe European troops can be in Ukraine as well. I would imagine that Ukraine being a part of NATO is not going to happen, and I would imagine parts, maybe the Donbass region in particular, or areas that are heavily populated by people from Russia, that would go to Putin in any negotiated settlement. Am I wrong in my conjecture here?
Sean, no surprise, you're not wrong in any of that. And what's important is that we are discussing all of those things with both sides. We are having those discussions with our counterparts with the Russians. We are having those discussions with our counterparts with the Ukrainians. And we are pushing both sides together with President Trump, the deal maker in chief.
I think this comment sums this up nicely, though. What this is almost certainly about is the Trumpers in their vast ignorance buying into the Russian claim that the Ukrainians in the Donbass region are Russians because they speak Russian. That's like
Yeah, that's
claiming
the
the
goddamn
Irish
thing.
are English because they speak English. And that's why Hannity was serving it up kind of as a layup to literally
Let that sink in. Now, I 100% support Ukraine. And you want to fight about it, we'll fight about it. I'm okay with that. Ukraine has every right to be doing and asking what they are. The situation at hand. Fucking Putin? Look. And I hope that goes across the way it should. Because I'm pretty sure that one's a universal action. This is quite literally what I think of Vladimir Putin. Make sure that shit was nice and sloppy. Ooh, minute. That is mildly tempting. Hi. Put down a couple picture of Putin's head from a garbage can. That way everything is spit in his head. Okay. No, I'm not. Like, I'm not okay with Putin and his setting course of action. He has made it 100% clear, and to the point he said it in multiple places. He wants to bring back the USSR. Yes, Putin can lie. Putin can lie like a fucking dog. For real. Dude knows how to lie. What he doesn't know how to do is hide when he's telling the truth. So, I might suggest some people pay attention to that. And when Putin's being honest, it looks the same way it does when most of us are being honest. Might be a little bit of cultural differences, but that's gonna be about it. From the video I watched where I actually got to see him being honest, yeah. He doesn't exactly have a problem with being honest, but he's not comfortable being honest. I can tell he's comfortable in a lie. And that's not trying to diss, that's just stating. Let's get back to it.
Launder the Russian Putin talking points, talking about laundering the Russian Putin talking points. Donald Trump earlier in the morning yesterday literally posted Putin's talking points. Trump says, we had a very good and productive discussion with President Vladimir Putin of Russia yesterday. Pause there. Have you ever seen Donald Trump post, we had a very good and productive conversation with Ukrainian President Zelensky? Have you ever heard him say something but about Putin? It's very productive. And there is a very good chance that this horrible, bloody war can finally come to an end. But at this very moment, thousands of Ukrainian troops are completely surrounded by the Russian military and in a very bad and vulnerable position. That's all in caps for dramatic impact. Trump goes, I have strongly requested to President Putin that their lives be spared. This would be a horrible massacre, one not seen since World War II. God bless them all. Literally everything Donald Trump said there is absolutely false. It's some fantasy Russian propaganda fiction that Putin spews to his people. There's nothing true about that. So Ukraine's general staff had to issue a statement directly refuting the report that Ukrainian forces are encircled. Here's what the Ukrainian general staff wrote. Reports of the alleged encirclement of Ukrainian units by Kursk region are false and fabricated by the Russians for political manipulation and to exert pressure on Ukraine and its partners. The situation has remained largely unchanged over the past day. Combat operations within the operational zone of the Kursk group of forces is ongoing. Units of the defense forces of Ukraine have successfully regrouped, withdrawn to more advantageous defensive positions, and are executing their assigned tasks within the Kursk region. Our soldiers are effectively repelling enemy offensive actions and inflicting significant fire damage using all available weapon systems. Since the beginning of the current day, 13 combat clashes have taken place in the Kursk direction. There is no threat of encirclement of our units. In other words, everything that Trump is saying is absolutely false right there. Surprise, surprise. Howard Lutnick then goes on Fox, Trump's Commerce Secretary, to attack the EU. Playing this clips.
Well, just let us rebuild. America needs to be in charge. Let us rebuild our steel and aluminum domestic production. And when we do that, our American whiskey, I mean, why is that credible? It seems illogical. So Donald Trump just reminded the European Union who's in charge.
Sorry. That's just illogical. No, it's not. It's actually extremely logical. I heard they were doing that first, and I was like, oh, you guys are being smart about it. I love it. It's illogical. No, it's not. Not at all. Oh my God, that's not illogical at all. That's actually so fucking sharp wit. For everyone watching, I want you to know, if there's at any point you have a question, ask me. I don't know the answer, guess what? I'm streaming from a computer! We can look it up! So, we're going to add that to the show. The show may last a little bit longer than just morning news, but you know what? The point's about getting the information across properly. So, I want to make sure we do that.
George, who do they run their big budget deficits with? You know, their trade deficits. They trade with us huge amounts. We buy their stuff.
And I know I'm opening a can of worms.
And they need to respect Donald Trump, and he's going to teach them how to do that.
You know,
Now, one of the things about the attack on the EU that I find interesting, did you see this story from Reuters? How many eggs can you send? U.S. is now asking countries that it's attacking to help lower the...
Hold on. We're going to wait for Twitch to come back to this one. Because this one kind of is a big deal. Kind of. Part of it has some pettiness to it, and that part I'm not so fond of. But facts are facts. And we live in this world. While we wait for Twitch, it's nap time. Because somebody needs some more. I'm a horny toad. I'm a horny toad. Yeah, you. No, this is gonna get hot. You stay back. Yeah, there's a reason I keep my finger on the knob. Especially when she's elite. It's hot. There, that might help. Or it'll just make you more riled up. From that point. Okay, so you guys went to bed. But we are now on the eggs topic, and what's going on there? Oh boy.
Prices of U.S. eggs. Keep this. The United States has reached out to Denmark and other European nations asking if they can export eggs as Americans face surging egg prices, the Nordic Countries Egg Association said on Friday. The request from the U.S. Department of Agriculture coincides with a raft of new U.S. tariffs on countries, including in Europe, and a threat of more. Donald Trump has also threatened economic sanctions unless Denmark hands over control of Greenland to the United States, while the Trump administration, or regime, I should say, is out there begging Denmark to help the U.S. lower egg prices. How utterly despicable can you get? Well, yeah, probably more with the Trump regime. There you have it. You see the propaganda. I know you want me to fact check it, which is why I come with the receipts when I show you anything Fox related. Let me know what you think and subscribe. Let's get to 5 million subscribers. Thanks for watching. Can't get enough Midas? Check out the Midas.
Now, mind you, when he says Fox related, he doesn't just mean the one channel. He means the entire Fox Association, which runs all the way up to, I think, Rupert Murdoch. He'll just have to spin it in Trump's pocket. As much as many on the right like to think he's one of ours. Y'all ain't paying attention to how he's voting, are you? Where he's putting his money, are you? Because it ain't with the left. Just saying. Alright. Let's go with this one.
Trump is now in his first month in office, and we want to know how you think he's doing as president. You guys know how I think he's
In
doing.
the last 48 hours, the world is watching Canada take on the United States in the tariff war and use brinksmanship to try to achieve a positive outcome. The question for the world is, does that method of taking the U.S. to the mat and fighting with it, is that more effective with Donald Trump than, let's say, a Mexico Claudia Sheinbaum method of being more quiet in her diplomacy? Does being quiet and trying to hope Donald Trump doesn't go after you, does that work? That's how the world is currently reacting. But
the answer is it depends on how strong you make yourself look. Or how weak, in his book. That is really going to depend on how well you can gauge how he views your country. If he views you as not a threat, but also not horribly weak, you can get away with the Claudia Sheinbaum, no problem. Otherwise, the other two ways, you're gonna have to go to the mat, like Canada is. And that's just kind of gonna be real. And Donald Trump will still harass the Claudia types when the Canada types are beating his ass. For real. So, just to be clear, both are doable, but if you actually want to fix America, as in straighten them out, not have to walk on eggshells, if I remember correctly, it goes oi, oi, oi. That might be a string. One way or another. Go the Great White North.
it's the tip of the spear right now, led by its incoming Prime Minister, Mark Carney, a former banker, major banker for the Bank of England, the Bank of Canada, and Doug Ford, the largest province, Ontario, produces a lot of the electricity that's needed for the U.S. economy. I'm Michael Popok. You're on the Midas Touch Network and Legal AF. Let's put on our financial markets, politics, and law intersection and talk about how the world is observing Canada right now. We just watched the number one hot button, apparently, for Donald Trump is Canada trying to use electricity in a way to leverage their negotiations. When Donald Trump announced an aluminum and steel tariff of 25%, Doug Ford in Ontario announced that he was going to do a 25% tax or tariff on electricity going to New York, Michigan, and Minnesota. Donald Trump then said, we'll double our aluminum and steel tariff to 50%. At that time, the incoming Canadian Prime Minister, Mark Carney, said, the United States is a country we can't trust. When the BBC asked Mark Carney, in particular, do you think if the UK just stays quiet, they'll be... Listen to this question. Do you think if the UK just stays quiet, we'll avoid the ire of Donald Trump in the trade war? To which Mark Carney said, yeah, good luck with that. There's also a respect aspect to this. Canada, now led by Mark Carney, previously by Trudeau, demand appropriately the respect of this president. And they've been disrespected. It's sort of a weird we're watching here, Donald Trump, who is a judged misogynist and sex abuser, but always has a strange relationship with women in power. See Nancy Pelosi, and now see Claudia Sheinbaum. For the Claudia Scheinbaums of the world, he has this begrudging respect. Works better behind the scenes in diplomacy, and that's why Mexico has done a little bit of a give and take in diplomatic dance, but mainly behind closed doors. Canada's had no choice. They went down on bended knee and tried to negotiate in January and February, the new Trump administration, and they've been thoroughly embarrassed ever since. I mean, Donald Trump to this day still calls the Prime Minister of Canada still calls him Governor Trudeau and says that Canada is the 51st state. He doesn't do that with Mexico. And so the rest of the world is watching. So not by choice, because this is the hand they've been dealt, Canada has to be more aggressive. Forget Canada nice. It's time, as they've learned, to try Canada aggressive. Canada, we don't blink. And so far, it's working. Melanie Joy, who is...
It's Canada's pissed off because Canada's getting tired of getting poked. And I've told so many people on here, do not poke Canada. You don't know what you're asking for. I don't know what your problem is back here, but it needs to stop. Shouldn't be moving around that much. There's no reason you can be rocking this trailer like that. And then, of course, the horny zone is going to my spot. This big time. Yeah. What's more like? All right, you. I want to sit back down. Yeah, I want to sit back down. I'm going to sit on you. Yeah. I'm going to sit on you. 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 Get out of my spot, you little monster. You ponytail.
The trade representative or trade minister for Canada said that the rest of the world is going to have to follow, effectively going to have to follow Canada's lead. Because if they think they're just going to be quiet and be ignored, that's not going to happen. It's Canada first, it's the rest of the world next, and the rest of the world leaders are watching. The steel and aluminum tariffs thing especially is troubling, because there's a lot of steel manufacturing going on in Southeast Asia and in Asia. And so they're watching Canada right now, getting Canada the poster child about they're all saying, will this work? Does this work? As Canada goes out on the limb to try to protect its sovereignty, its economy, its national security. But I'll tell you one thing, Doug Ford got Trump's attention along with the incoming Mark Carney. Secretary Howard Lutnick is on his way to a meeting on Thursday in Ontario with Doug Ford. And we'll have to see what happens there. I'm so excited to share with you guys an incredible scientific breakthrough to support our long-term health and wellness. C15 is the first essential fatty acid to be discovered in 90 years. And get this, studies have confirmed that it's 3 times better, broader, and safer than omega-3. It's pretty simple. Essential nutrients keep our cells healthy, which keeps us healthy. If you want to get sciencey about it, studies show that C15 works by strengthening our cells, improving our mitochondrial function, and protecting us against damaging free radicals. The result? Better long-term metabolic liver and heart health. It turns out many of us are deficient in C15, which results in weaker cells that make less energy and quit working earlier than they should. All of that makes us age faster, sleep poorly, feel sluggish. Is this sounding familiar? Fatty 15 is a science-backed, award-winning vegan and pure C15 supplement.
Don't know if you need Robitussin for your cough, Advil for your
Oh,
head,
it is good.
or Theraflu for, well,
Familiar? Fatty 15 is a science-backed, award-winning vegan and pure C15 supplement. By replenishing our cells with that essential C15 nutrient, Fatty 15 effectively repairs cells and restores our long-term health. Go science! Fatty 15 is made from a patented, pure, and oxidation-resistant C15 powder derived from plants. It's vegan-friendly, free of flavors, fillers, allergens, or preservatives. C15 is the only ingredient in Fatty 15, 100% pure. C15 works in multiple ways. It repairs age-related damage to cells, protects them from future breakdown, boosts mitochondrial energy output, and activates pathways in the body to help regulate sleep, mood, and natural repair mechanisms that support our overall health. This functionality leads to a myriad of exciting benefits now and as we get older, namely improved metabolic, liver, and heart health, smoother functioning joints, deeper sleep, and healthier hair and skin and nails. Now that's essential. It comes in a gorgeous, reusable glass bamboo jar, and refill capsules are shipped to your door quarterly in pouches made from recycled materials. Fatty 15 is on a mission to replenish our C15 levels and restore your long-term health. You can get an additional 15% off their 90-day subscription starter kit by going to fatty15.com/legalaf and use code legalaf at checkout. You know, there's other provinces in Canada that tried to work with Donald Trump, and they've been insulted. And there's a little bit of a lack. It's interesting how Canada works. Like, we wouldn't properly allow a state to tariff or tax individually another country, but in Canada, apparently, other provinces have self-autonomy, and they can do their own without coordination with the central government. And that's one of the many differences between Canadian form of government and our form of government. So, you know, we're seeing other leaders like Doug Ford step forward. Now, we'll continue to do the reporting, but I think the takeaway from this particular hot take is there's two different models that we're observing about how to deal with the bully of Donald Trump and his erratic economic policy that is making the world not hum, but spin potentially out of control, negatively impacting the American economy in only less than 60 days of an administration. You have the Mexico model, but I think the Mexico model, to be fair, it's not one size fit all, and I think it's working because of the unique personal and leadership qualities of Claudia Sheinbaum and how that intersects with Donald Trump in particular, given his history with women and strong women. So I think that works in Mexico. I'm not sure if that works in Canada. And Canada, got dragged into a fight, and now we're going to have to brass knuckle their way out. And they're trying that method of being a little bit more hostile with their approach publicly. Seems to be working for now, because Donald Trump is moving back from the brink and sending trade representatives and commerce secretaries to go into Canada for their meetings, which I think is a very positive sign. And the rest of the world is trying to figure out what works for them. I'll tell you what doesn't work. I agree with Mark Hardy and his BBC interview, which is just, if we just lay low, maybe they'll go away. No, that's not how that's going to work. A bully never goes away until you punch them in the face and eat their lunch in front of them. And that's what we're watching Canada do with great pride. They will obtain respect from Donald Trump one way or the other, and continue to be one of the most important trading partners. That's the thing that gets lost in the story. One of the most important trading partners that we have is with Canada, import and export. We cannot run our GDP, our gross domestic product, our manufacturing capacity, our plants is in part powered by many of the things that come out of Canada. We can't make our goods without Canada. We need their steel. We need their rare earth minerals and metals. We need their electricity. We need their power grid. Just the way it is. That is one of the competitive advantages of the United States. It is the largest engine to produce goods and services, but it needs power, and it needs resources, and it needs components that we get from Canada. And so Donald Trump talks up with a lot of false bravado, but the reality is we are desperate and in our need for things that Mexico and Canada.
That just made a lot of sense. Maybe people need a better explanation of America's role in the world. Look at the world as an entire planet, as a giant car, or truck, or whatever you call it. Yes, America is the fucking engine. Beefy fucking big ass engine. But if you separate that engine from the exhaust, the transmission, the frickin' drivetrain, it's nothing. It becomes absolutely nothing. And that's what Donald Trump is trying to do. He's trying to pull the fucking engine out of the system. For what reason? Probably to break the fucking car, bro. What other reason do you have for taking the engine out when you don't have something else to put it in? This is not a scenario where you can turn the system off or turn the machine off and work on it. You turn this machine off, and that means everything stops. Everything. This engine is the engine of the world. You're not isolated. You can't run on your own. You need fuel from the fuel tank. You need... Sure, an exhaust system probably isn't absolutely necessary. But, you know, it sure seems to work better. Sure, an intake system, an air intake system, probably isn't absolutely necessary. But it probably works a lot better than just sucking the hot air in from right above the head. I mean, for real. You're looking at the gas tank and the fucking air intake system of the engine and telling them to fuck off. And what's worse, you're trying to throw tariffs on them? Motherfucker, what kind of entitled do you think you are? Trying to tax your fucking air and fuel intake systems. That's quite literally what's going on with these damn tariffs towards Mexico and Canada. You're fucking up your own mechanics because you want to get pissy at them. Why? Because they're costing you too many horses? Come on. If it wasn't for them, you wouldn't be working. Or you would, but with a lot fucking less horsepower. So, yeah, let's be real here. If we're going to make a comparison that I guess more people can understand, Planet Earth is a fucking car. America's the goddamn engine. And y'all are getting pissy about the systems that help you run properly. And you help them run properly. A mutual connection that works for both sides. You're trying to limit your own damn horsepower and you don't even realize it. From a country of outlaw racing and drag racing? The hell are y'all thinking?
Competitive provide. That's why we're going to get that free trade agreement really, really quickly. That is the other thing to keep an eye on. Getting back to the free trade pact that Donald Trump actually put in place in his first administration and then has tried to strangle and kill. Now it's going to come back. It's going to be another win in the trade war for Canada and Mexico, a war that Donald Trump started for no good reason, not helping him at all. It's not helping him with the polls, not helping the American economy. It's not helping people in their wallets and their pocketbooks. And yet he continues. And we'll continue to follow it right here on the Midas Touch Network and on Legal AF. Follow me, Michael Popak, Wednesdays and Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on the Midas Touch Legal AF podcast.
Okay. And then it looks like we got this last one for today.
Tara, welcome back to the Mea Culpa podcast. There's so much going on today in chaos in our political environment. How it goes by quick, so I'm just going to jump right into it. You know, as we're talking every day now about yet another government shutdown, because we don't have enough going on in our lives, and talk about another government shutdown. I want to remind you, and I want to remind my listeners, that the last government shutdown in 2018, 2019 cost this country, it cost our economy over $11 billion.
Yep.
Now, given the current economic fragility, how do you think that shutdown in 2025 will disproportionately affect federal workers, as well as, and specifically, federal workers in swing states like Pennsylvania and Michigan?
It cooled down.
Incidentally, voted for Trump.
Well, it's always good to be back with you, Michael. The amount of chaos that we are in the middle of right now is unprecedented. We've never seen anything like this in this country before. And although many of us, you included, warned vociferously, passionately, repeatedly that this would happen if we gave Donald Trump power again, so many people chose to put their heads in their sand or put their heads up their own asses or whatever to not believe that this is what would happen. And here we are, less than 2 months into this, and so many unimaginable things are happening. Well, shutdowns used to feel like
not in a positive way,
right? It was like they are political losers. Everyone used to run around with their hair on fire. We can't have a shutdown. That was like the worst, most chaotic thing ever. Shutdowns now look like a federal at this point. It is, the things are so catastrophic that are happening right now in our government, thanks to Elon Musk and Donald Trump and what Doge is doing, and the absolute decapitation of our federal agencies and, frankly, of our democracy for a number of reasons, that a federal shutdown now is really, really bad. And it's just going to just compound the chaos, because we're already seeing hundreds of thousands of people losing their jobs. Yeah. This is going to throw our economy into chaos. People are just starting now to understand kind of the trickle-down effect of what these mass firings in the government are doing. And not only
and that's the problem. Trickle-down's real if there's issues. Otherwise, trickle-down is not a thing. So, I don't know how many people need to hear that, but trickle down economics is bullshit.
Mass firings, but the disruption in services. We used to make the argument about federal shutdowns being a disruption in services, which is true, because people don't realize how much your everyday life is dependent on the government. You don't realize it because when it works, and you don't know. But when it doesn't work, and when you don't have it anymore, then you're like, oh, I didn't realize that
was government run.
And that's what's about to happen right now. There's another government shutdown, and you add that onto the disruption of services from our VA to our farm bureaus to the USDA to our national parks to Social Security to just name it. And you add the shutdown now. People are really. I'm almost hoping that the Republicans do mess around and we end up with another shutdown. Because people obviously need to feel a certain amount of discomfort and pain before they wake the hell up and understand what Donald Trump is doing to you. Trump is doing this to you, no one else. Donald Trump and his co-president, Elon Musk, are doing this to you. And no one is safe from it, including MAGAs.
Yeah.
But not if you listen to people like MAGA representative here from New York, Nicole Malley and Cactus, who said that everything is being blamed on the former administration, on Joe Biden. Trump says it, Musk says it, Malley and Cactus says it. Every member of Congress that is Republican are spewing the same talking points. It's as if, like during the campaigns, they receive talking points memorandum. If you're going to be a surrogate, if you're going to be in the press today, if you're going to be on the news today, these are the buzzwords that they want you to say, and those are the buzzwords that they are saying, including whether we're going to call Elon Musk a shadow president or just some sort of temporary sidekick, which I believe he is. There are proposals that are out there that are being discussed, stupid proposals like $14 billion in cuts to just the IRS alone. What's going to happen when people don't get their refund checks or the processing of their IRS forms, don't take place properly? $20 billion.
Donald Trump doesn't care. No one gets their tax refunds, then, guess what? Government's got more money.
In cuts in climate funding. That's just climate funding alone.
Because let's just be honest. Donald Trump's running it like a business. In a business, if somebody doesn't come and get their refund after a certain amount of time, guess what? The business takes it.
There's hundreds of billions, if not trillion dollars worth of these stupid cuts that they want. Plus, Elon Musk has said to Trump that he needs to cut $2 trillion from our $6.4 trillion budget, our federal budget, in order so that we can actually start to bring the country's deficit down. Do you think, Tara, that these targeted cuts are strategic? You think that they're a strategic move to appease the far-right Freedom Caucus? Or do you think that they
Interesting.
will ultimately alienate moderate Republicans and Democrats?
So there's a few layers to that. Well, first of all, of course, all of the Republicans and MAGAs are on the same page because it's a cult, and that's what they do. What are they going to say? They're scared to death. The ones that are not true believers, there's a bunch that are true believers, and that's, all different discussion. Most of them are not true believers, and the ones who understand that this is political kryptonite for them, they're too chicken shit to stand up and say no. Because ultimately, the power of the purse originates with Congress. What Elon Musk is doing is questionably legal. There are court cases going on right now that are challenging what he's doing. There are processes for this. Some random guy who was not elected, who is not a member of Congress, who has no oversight, a civilian coming in and deciding to, take a chainsaw, to use his own imagery, to our federal workers and our programs, where things that have been appropriated by Congress, which is their constitutional responsibility.
Can I make a point here? The reason why a chainsaw is not a good tool for something like this is because of how much gets destroyed when chainsaws used. Let's say we're sawing away on a log. You know that sawdust? That wood dust that comes off the saw when you're sawing away? Yeah, that's part of the wood that's being, dusted. It's being turned to dust. Because the chainsaw is grinding at it. That's just the cutting process. That's not even what you're choosing to take off and save. So there's waste just in that process alone. The way, and it's not too dissimilar to the way he's doing things. I can't argue that the process he's using is like using a fucking chainsaw. And things are being destroyed in the process. In this case, part of what is being cut. So,
it's legally dubious and questionably unconstitutional. So the problem here is that it's happening with such at a swift pace that it's difficult to keep up. And frankly, Democrats have not done a great job in pushing back on it.
No.
Actually, they've done a terrible job, and it's very frustrating to watch what's going on. People may know or may not know. I was a Republican for 27 years. I know the tactics. And I saw what Mitch McConnell and Republicans did when they were in the minority and they were the opposition party for years against Barack Obama and the Democrats. There is a playbook for this. I don't want to hear this just roll over and do nothing and let them trip over themselves and, hang themselves. No, not like this. We're not in normal political times. It does not work. And Republicans didn't do that back in 2009, 10, 11, 12, in those years. They did not. They did all kinds of things to make Democrats' lives more difficult and more difficult for them to carry out their agenda. So there's all kinds of things they could be doing that they're not. But that's maybe we can talk about that later. But of course they're going to all be on the same page with the talking points because they cannot deviate. Trump has threatened them. Musk has threatened them, and they know this. So they're willing to sell out what they know is right, including selling out their own constituents. They know this is going to hurt their own constituents. Do you know how many red districts have farmers that rely on the SNAP program? How many farmers rely on USAID because we send billions of dollars to our farmers to create, to produce those crops for USAID programs overseas? I mean, people have no idea how damaging all of this actually is to regular folks.
Remember that sawdust I was talking about? Wonder what it looked like? Beautiful explanation.
But the members of Congress do because they're hearing it. That's what they're seeing at the town halls. That's why they're scared to death at the town halls anymore. That's why the memo went out. We're not in person town halls anymore because they don't want the visual of the American people rising up and complaining and going, "What the hell are you guys doing?"
Right.
So this is all of those things and the cuts. As we know, that if you were to get rid of every single federal worker and every single federal program, it wouldn't make a dent in the debt.
Yeah.
It's not going to make a dent. These are nominal savings. This is a lie that's being sold to these people to justify the pain that's being inflicted on them. And you say something over and over again, enough people believe it. But until you start to feel it in your everyday life, right? Correct.
So that's the Stalin approach. The more that you repeat the lie, the more the lie becomes the truth. But the one thing that people are also, and it's again, you're not wrong. It is the Democrats' fault, and my hope D in terms of overall messaging. Maybe at best a D. Let me be very clear about something. They have no fucking clue how to fight somebody like Donald Trump. I've said this 1,000 times.
You and I talk about this all the time.
What it takes in order to fight him properly. All right? The problem is you cannot try to make everything about him and make him into the devil of every single thing. Every bad thing that somebody writes about does not have to be investigated and reported and reported again. The problem is Democrats don't stay on singular message long enough for it to soak into the Americans' head.
Correct.
With that in mind, the House, the GOP, they have a razor-thin majority there. Do you see any scenario that you and I can advise somebody like Democratic DNC Chair Ken Martin to leverage what will be a shutdown? There's no doubt in my mind. I believe
I think so.
that there will be a shutdown. Even the threat of a shutdown. How do we leverage that to gain political momentum as we start looking into the 2026 midterms? Because if those midterms go the wrong way, we're really sunk.
Yeah. Well, first of all, Democrats need to learn how to do simple messages on big concept issues that the average American understands. That's what Republicans do. They repeat things in bumper sticker terms. They repeat them over and over again in terms that people understand. It's almost like you're talking to sixth graders. I'm not trying to insult the American people, but the average American reads at a sixth grade level. So that's how you have to present these things. You cannot go into deep policy discussions and about this policy, that policy, chasing like whack-a-mole policy issues that the Trump administration keeps putting out there, and thinking that anyone's going to absorb this and understand why it matters to them. That's part of the problem. For Republicans, they kept it very simple. Immigration bad, transgenders bad, Donald Trump is for you. The end.
Business taxes was always all-consuming. Now business taxes is having a turbo tax.
Immigration bad, transgenders bad, Donald Trump is for you. The end. That is their entire agenda.
You know, Tara, interestingly enough, I've said, literally, for the longest time now, Donald Trump speaks in bumper stickers. Mm-hmm. Generally, they are three-word concepts. Let's just go back and think about it. When he was fighting with Hillary Clinton, lock her up. 3 words. Build the wall, right? In order to deal with immigration, which is a policy that nobody, like the IRS manual, nobody can fully understand how to actually correct immigration. Mass deportation now, he's improved on it. Gasoline and groceries. He has taken the 3-word scenario and
drill, baby, drill.
Yep.
Drill, baby, drill. There's another one. All right.
Going through my head first.
We could build an entire book based upon Donald Trump's 3-word bumper stickers that resonates with the American people. And for the reason that you say, especially his MAGA supporters, they're not interested in trying to understand the in-depth Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, when he was even capable of providing enough information regarding policy. People like, get to the fucking 3-word point.
That's right.
One. Donald Trump, who I've always said is the master of branding, potentially his superpower that nobody else can even marvel. You need to fight fire with fire. You can't talk about 20 different things while their message is only on one. I mean, think about with Kamala Harris. She's talking about one thing. Mark Cuban is talking about another. You had Norm Eisen's talking about the law. You have this one's talking about, immigration. You have this one talking about farmers and so on. And everybody's like, wait. It's the Democrats that are discombobulated, that they're all over the fucking map. whereas the Republicans drill baby drill or mass deportation now. But he beat the shit, singularly beat the shit out of the entire Democratic Party with 3 words again: gasoline and groceries. The three-word bumper sticker that everybody was able to understand and relate to as you're filling up your car with gas or you're at the grocery at checkout. Everybody can understand it, and he and only he can fix the situation for you.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't know why they don't start discussing how Donald Trump's cuts kill. Trump's cuts kill. You know, Musk's, stuff like that. Like, Trump destroys. I don't know. We can come up with different things, but you've got to be in your face, unapologetically provocative and honest, because it's true. People are going to lose their lives. They're going to lose their benefits. They're losing their livelihoods because of Donald Trump. Trump did this. And what you can go down the list of what those thises are. Musk did this. Trump allowed it. Like, this is Trump betrays veterans. Like, this, Trump betrays farmers. Like, there are so many things that they could do if they just stayed on message and if everybody wasn't competing with each other's agendas. And frankly, there's kind of an old guard, new guard fight going on between the Democratic Party on how to communicate these things. And a lot of times you're seeing old tactics being used by the Democrats that don't fit the moment. Those tactics don't work anymore. You can't use the tactics of yesteryear.
Yeah.
It's like trying to read this in hieroglyphics. That's how old it is.
I know.
It doesn't work. And
it
you
doesn't.
know what? I want to talk about this. You just brought something up. That's, by the way, it's a great 3-word. Trump betrays veterans. Because I know that you have
that one's a good one.
of veterans in your family. All right? That you really, as I am beyond insulted. I'm grossed out by the treatment of those people who have sacrificed, right? And did this to preserve our democratic republic, our constitution, our ideals. You and I would never be here talking to one another on this platform if, in fact, it wasn't for the bravery of our veterans, those that have unfortunately perished and those that are alive, with conditions, whether they are actual physical conditions because of their service or emotional, like PTSD. In fact, your project.
Condition. Thanks, Michael. You fucking asshole. Suffering from dealing with a mental disorder is not the same as having a mental condition. Love you, buddy. Not that I can say much. I'm
The Seneca Project, which you are a co-founder of, is as nauseated by the fact that they're talking about cutting 80,000 jobs in the VA, leaving veterans out in the cold without the ability to seek medical attention, receive benefits, and so on. In fact, you did via the Seneca Project. You put out a great ad. I'm actually going to play it. I'm going to play it for everybody so that they can see it when this ultimately is on YouTube, but they'll be able to hear it as well wherever they listen to their podcasts.
The golden age of America will suffer. It will be like nothing that has ever been seen before.
Friday night, Pentagon confirmed President Trump has just fired the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff.
Truly unprecedented. We take good care of our veterans are being fired.
We've been betrayed. Absolutely betrayed.
Slap in the face.
I feel let down.
I feel like I'm not good enough. We love our veterans.
The president referred to them as suckers and losers.
We're not losers. We're not suckers.
We care about veterans.
But at the same time, we have a fiscal responsibility to use taxpayer dollars to pay people that actually work.
Don't deserve it.
Perhaps they're not fit to have a job at this moment.
These people are brave, patriotic Americans who go to work every single day.
We have hundreds of thousands of federal workers who have not been showing up to work.
I put myself in harm's way.
Our whole entire life into public service, and all of a sudden, one man comes in and throws it all away.
If Elon Musk does what he wants to do, between 200 to 300,000 veterans are fired this year.
Resistance change will be removed from office immediately.
YouTube. Howard. Hi there, my beautiful friend. Just wanted to say hi, and I miss you, love you, Justin.
Hi, Howard. Sorry I wasn't on last night. The weather was actually quite the pain. Kind of waiting to hear from Jackson. I guess I could always send him a message on this group. Fucking sucks. Hi. This really does suck because we're supposed to do the tacos and tequila last night. I mean, I'm kind of glad that I wasn't able to because I forgot and was offline a good portion of the day because I would not have been able to stream last night. I tried. You might see a few really choppy streams about it. Yeah. More than anything, I feel bad because I fucking forgot. It wasn't until I went to bed this morning that I realized, oh shit, it's Sunday. Fuck.
30% of the federal workforce.
Combat veterans.
Oh.
It's your neighbors.
By the way, this little bit that's going on, this little video they're playing, they might as well be playing the anthem to these veterans standing up and doing something. You don't fire a small army's worth of veterans from the jobs they're doing after they served their country and not suffer from
Howard, it snowed here last night. It was 80 degrees Friday and 30 here today. Fucking suck a big donkey dick lol.
Oh my god, I can't say I blame you. Yikes. Hopefully you're staying healthy from the weather switch. 'Cause that's pretty bad. Yeah, you keep pissing off veterans, and it's not going to be too long before they decide that the people in charge are not using their brains well enough. If there is one thing that I've been taught, it's through both experience of being around people who were training recruits to go in, as well as retired veterans themselves. If there's one thing that is valuable in the armed services, is someone who is quick on their feet and very observational. And let me tell you, most of these guys have a pretty good set of that on their own.
YouTube. Howard, think I'm getting a cold, feel like ass.
I wouldn't be surprised if you are. If you got some nice hot lemon tea, some lemon honey tea would be great. Yeah, eventually these veterans are going to have enough. And when they do, Elon Musk, I feel sorry for you.
We want to work hard. We want to help.
Before
The Department of Veterans Affairs is missing more guarantee the veterans
YouTube.
benefits
How?
here
Your
will
beard
not be
is filling
affected
in
by
these
these
buttons.
cuts?
Amazing.
Thanks.
No, I can't guarantee anything. I just feel like I just been swept up in a dust pan and thrown out. I voted for Trump. A lot of the pitches are.
Liberty Mutual is all she talks about since we saved hundreds by bundling our home and auto insurance.
For Trump. A lot of the pitches are.
But I want to ask you on behalf of these veterans, the veterans in your family, and the folks that you know, what is the sentiment from these veterans?
I hope I'm not interrupting you, buddy.
Especially
You're good.
those who voted and campaigned for him in 2024.
Thank you for playing that, Michael. And we produced that ad in partnership with Marcus Flowers' PAC Hold the Line. And for those who don't know, Marcus Flowers ran for Congress against Marjorie Taylor Greene a couple cycles ago, and decided to start a PAC to help elect a new generation of Democrats. He's a military veteran. He spent 20 years in the military and working for the Department of Defense. So this was something that we had an idea, and we decided to partner with him on it because it was so important for us to get that out. You know, we are a content-producing organization, the Seneca Project, and you know, we are women-led, run by women, and we're tough broads, and we know how to message. And we wanted to combine that because, frankly, Democrats aren't doing it. No Democratic organizations are putting out counter messaging to go on offense against Trump and what Musk are doing. We did the same thing with Elon. We have an ad out called Welfare Queen. People need to know Elon Musk isn't the genius you think he is. Matter of fact, he's wealthy because of our tax dollars subsidizing Tesla and SpaceX. Okay, the guy's not a genius. He never invented anything.
No.
And he's one of the biggest welfare queens. He's got the nerve to go after our government making cuts on things when he's benefiting $8 million a day personally. $8 million a day personally from the government contracts that our tax dollars pay him.
So, let's be clear. Elon Musk is getting 8 times what any of us would hope to see in our lifetime from the government. And you want to support this guy to make cuts to the government? Please explain the math. Because this ain't mathin'.
Versus the average Social Security recipient who gets $65 a day. And so all of these things, these messages, people need to know, particularly MAGA. The veteran issue, when we saw that they were actually coming for veterans. Now, we always warned that Trump doesn't really give a damn about his own people. He doesn't. It's always been about him and his own corruption. And the MAGAs who voted for him thought that he was going to go and target the libs. He's going to own the libs. He's going to get the brown menace people out here, all the criminals. He's going to screw over all those progressive lefties. And then they went, holy shit! Wait, what do you mean my veteran husband just lost his job working at the FAA? Or wait, my veteran benefits at the VA down the street that program's gone? Wait, they're going, what? And in our ads, you heard, people were saying they feel betrayed. They shouldn't be treated like this. They've given their lives in service to this country. I was a Trump voter. I feel thrown away. They're starting to wake up a little bit. Now, again, people only change when they feel enough pain to do it, and it's a shame that they have to go through this. Right, whatever it is, whether it's their livelihood, their jobs, or whether it's
yeah, I don't know anyone who is getting $65 a day on Social Security or disability. I don't know anyone who is getting damn near $2,000 a month from Social Security. The highest I've seen around me is $1,500. So, just needed to go over that little math check there. And yeah, no. Hell, I don't even. Take 1,000 off of that, and that's what I get. Yeah, no. I really wish you wouldn't tell lies.
Their benefits they're losing. I mean, the VA's had problems for years, and is it a bloated bureaucracy? Sure, but you don't go and cut 80,000 jobs and the services that go along with it. There are ways to go and do this strategically that doesn't just wipe out tens of thousands of people's livelihoods and services. We're a country that has 22 veteran suicides a day. A day!
Yeah.
And you're gonna, what? You're cutting the program with the people who answer that suicide hotline or provide those mental health services, or the nurses that provide those services for our veterans, or the people who process those disability checks. What the fuck are we doing? This is insanity.
Thank you.
Veterans are the most popular, well-loved demographic in America. CNN.
If you got a problem with veterans on a whole, we can find a place to meet up and we can talk. If you end up deciding to push past talking, well, I can finish the job. That's fine. But we can talk. And I can explain to you why. I don't have a problem with that. But that's something I need to be able to look somebody in the eye for. And honestly, if you got a problem with veterans, then I may not be technically a veteran, but you still got a problem with me. I still took the oath and still consider those people to be brothers and sisters to me. Now, unlike some, I do hold those that have been in the military to a higher standard. The eldest of my younger brothers, he may be a veteran, but sure as hell doesn't act like he knows anything about it. Other than the PTSD. No honor, no integrity. No, those are kind of drilled into you in basic, so that kind? No, I won't just stand up there.
They did a survey on this. Harry Hinton, he does all the numbers on CNN. He showed that veterans are more popular. They have a higher approval rating than George Washington, Lincoln, or Mother Teresa. And this is who's paying the price. 30% of our federal workforce is made up of veterans. So
not Mother Teresa.
Yes. Mother Teresa. I was like, wow, okay. We all love them.
Right?
No.
The only group that
we're just using them as sure. Because they are disproportionately being hurt, and a lot of them support Donald Trump.
This episode of Mea Culpa is brought to you by Graza, my new favorite olive oil. It's fresh, it's never blended, and it comes from a single type of olive, the Picual, straight out of Jaén, Spain, where over half of the
I get it, Michael. You like your Graza.
So why Graza? Single origin goodness, that's why. Only one olive from one region. No mysterious blends. That means a traceable, a fresher product without mixing in any.
One of these times I might just be inclined enough to comment.
Fun. It has squeeze and spray bottles.
Trying to spell it funky just for fun.
Kids or drippy spouts. Just aim, squeeze, and go.
Sounds like something you'd yell on a bar. Graza! And everybody drinks.
490-degree Fahrenheit smoke point, which is perfect for frying, crisping, or grilling. Sizzle at 410 degrees Fahrenheit, which is an everyday cooking oil for roasting, marinating, and sauteing. Then they have something called drizzle, which is a bowl of punchy, finishing oil that you sprinkle on your salad. You dip your bread in or even. You top it off on your ice cream. My daughter is the actual chef in the house, and she uses olive oil on everything from pastas to preparing steak. Now, not only does this cook well, it smells delicious. Plus, as a healthy eater, Graza's extra virgin oils, they are loaded with those heart and brain friendly polyphenols, so it's good for you. Look, so here's what you get. You get 10% off your first order on Graza's site. I personally suggest grabbing the trio. That's all the 3 squeezy bottles, the sizzle, the frizzle, and the drizzle, so that you're set for every style of cooking. So head right now to graza.co and use code COHEN to get 10% off the trio, which includes again sizzle, frizzle, and drizzle, and get to cooking your quality meal. Again, head to Graza, GRAZA.co, and use code COHEN, COHEN, to get 10% off the trio. And I love saying it, sizzle, frizzle, and drizzle. So get cooking now.
Want to turn your
Now,
loss
so
into
for real
gains?
person.
With Hims, discover a range of prescription
And we're still
treatments
waiting
in a
for
variety
Twitch to come
of
back.
forms, like
Man.
Dry or One Spray.
It says we've only got one person over there, but you know how that goes.
Like finasteride and minoxidil, so you can stop hair loss and regrow hair in just 3 to 6 months for more confident hair days. Regain.
It's about as accurate as how many of you are actually watching on YouTube. Which,
Get started today.
neither one
at
of them.
Hims.com.
Okay, stop shaking everything, dude.
Sizzle, frizzle, and drizzle. So get cooking now.
Those are his people. He likes to wrap himself in the flag and he likes to hold up veterans as props, the military as props. But he doesn't give a damn about it. He stole from a military, from a veterans charity. You know this, Michael. The guy is the worst.
He really did steal from that charity. You know, look, this is one of the problems too. Is he didn't. He wasn't 100% sincere about even doing it, but he didn't steal any money.
All right.
From it. And we don't have to. Again, it goes back to the point I was making before. Not every single thing that has come out about him is actually true. And the problem with that is when Democrats use it, what it does is it adds to his claims of being a victim for everything. You know,
Yeah.
look, I'd be the first one to say if there was money that was missing from a VA charity, or when Eric Trump, for example, had the charity for St. Jude.
You know, that kind of leads me to something. For the group of pick yourself up by your damn bootstraps, Donald Trump is awfully fucking whiny and victim rolling. Seriously. Man, anytime I've dealt with those people, and they've been like, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You gotta do it yourself, no one will do it for you. And then they got this clod up there. If he wasn't actually somewhat intelligent, I would think he was a smooth brain. If this shit wasn't being done intentionally and planned, I would think he was a smooth brain. But no, there is no proof whatsoever that Donald Trump stole from the Veterans Charity. Let's get that out there. I get to hear anything about Eric Jr. and the Children's Cancer Charity that they supposedly stole from, but the Veterans one is bullshit.
Children's Hospital for Children with Cancer, they didn't take any money from it. And not everything that Trump does has to be deemed, grotesque and theft. It's just not true. But the
point is that he doesn't care, and he manipulated veterans to get money and all of that, whether they took money or not. However, it wasn't used for the purpose it was supposed to be, and the way he claimed it would be, because again, it was a political pawn. Same thing with the going after John McCain and the military.
No,
funeral.
fucking
and the flag didn't want the flag to be lowered, and they had to they had to cover up the USS McCain because he didn't want to see anything. It's just the suckers and losers, right? The suckers and losers.
Now, for those of you who don't know who John McCain is, John McCain is a distinguished veteran, was a distinguished veteran, as well as a member of the Republican Party, and for a while, senator? No, not senator. Yeah, Senator John McCain. And while he was still alive, he spoke out against Trump multiple times. And spoke out against Trump speaking poorly about our veterans and those passed due to war. The way he reacted to John McCain was very telling for anyone who was paying attention. Anyone military, if you haven't figured it out yet, Trump is not for you. And I don't mean not that you shouldn't vote for him, that he doesn't give a fuck about you. You're a pawn to him. And I'm trying to be nice. Because anyone who is in the military and has been supporting him, they're not going to like hearing this. And I can't blame them. Not the slightest. I mean, just when I was attempting to make it into the Army, the thought that my president didn't care about me or anything, what I was doing, would have definitely been a fucking morale killer. I kind of worry how our active duty soldiers are doing now. Honestly. Both sides of the political spectrum. Because the military is not for everybody. It's definitely not for the faint of heart. Or body. See, my body is not exactly built for it. I'm built to be a smart one. A plans guy. A quick reaction. When shit hits the fan, I'm the one in the corner, either sitting quietly watching and observing, or laughing, depending. But if you want to get out of the situation and not have to worry about any harm, definitely one to follow. And you let me know, and I know you're in my group, I'm going to make sure you're taken care of. I may not like to be a leader, but when the leader is needed, I'm there. Somebody's got to do it. Even if I don't like it. I don't want to be a leader. But to see the best for my countrymen, I would.
There's comments, why can't my generals be like Hitler? Like, we already know how he really feels about people who give themselves to service something bigger than them, which he doesn't understand and doesn't care and thinks is asinine. So the fact that so many military people think that he's their champion is again an example of how the propaganda and the disinformation and his ability to market is genius, because they're literally being gaslit into believing that this guy who looks at them and thinks that they're...
In that regard, I have to say he is the closest he can be called to that. That's it. This is why Trump is not stupid. This is why Trump does have a decent amount of intelligence. Even if he doesn't know it. Which, I'm going to tell you, he doesn't know it. He says he's the smartest person, blah, 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 kind of shit. Inside, that's not how he feels. And Elon's the same damn way. They are both beautiful examples of what happens when you take fake it till you make it to the extreme. I warn anyone and everyone not to do this. These positions are not a fake it till you make it kind of scenario. You can get away with it in a lot of fucking places. Once you start dealing with laws and rules and shit, sorry, throw it out. Once you start putting other people's lives at risk, you need to throw that shit out. Love you. Love the fact that you guys found a new way to build your confidence up. Doesn't matter if I agree with it or not. If it works for you, it works for you. And what space do I have to judge? Get my confidence up. I had to stream for years and have people actually saying, you're hot, you're attractive, and I'm just like, you're intelligent, I don't know. It's like, I know, but I try not to sit here and make a big point of it. That's because I do know. How intelligent? Not a clue. Not even I know how intelligent I am.
Suckers and losers is their champion. That is one of the books are going to be written on this. The success of Donald Trump is probably one of the biggest successful propaganda operations we've ever seen in the history of our country, ever, if not the world. It is really remarkable because so many people have been gaslit. I was at brunch this weekend with my husband at one of our local vineyards because I live in Northern Virginia and we have a lot of great vineyards. And we met this couple that was sitting next to us, and they started talking to us as they saw my hat, and we started talking about wine first, and then the conversation shifted toward the end about Trump and what's happening in the government. And I made a comment about, well, you know, that you're not going to get those benefits soon because he's military. And I said, well, don't be surprised when, you know, your military contract, he's retired military, now he works for DHS. I said, don't be surprised when you lose your job too, because you're not safe either. No one is safe from this. And he was like, well, that's not true. And I said, listen, Elon Musk, he's not even from here, okay? He descended from Nazis who came from Canada and decided to camp in South Africa because they felt more comfortable there under apartheid. I said, the guy does not respect our democracy and doesn't give two shits about you or anybody else. He's indiscriminately been given carte blanche to just cut people's jobs for his own benefit. And he goes, oh, well, Elon's, he's an American citizen. He kept trying to rationalize this. He said,
you know what I say to them?
You know what I say?
You know what I say? F-A-F-O. That's all I feel like. I'm like, fuck around, find out. And you're going to see. In fact, I did a story very similar to this on my Substack where I called it Truth Optional, Gaslighting Mandatory.
Yes,
right?
that's
Because
so
that's
true.
it is. But the point
But he was so in denial about it. And then interestingly, his wife, she kind of like turned to me and she made a gesture and she was like, you know, and I was like, of course you did. She goes, I don't. She's like, but she had to whisper it. So I thought to myself, well, at least her vote canceled out his, let's hope, during the election. But it was interesting how he just kept saying, oh no. I'm like, yeah, you're not saying either.
He's not part of the only group that's doing exactly this. Okay?
So you have a whole slew of Hispanic, Latino, Venezuelans, and so on. ICE right now, right? They have a daily arrest quota of 1,875 people per day. Now that would, by the way, require a 400% increase over their current arrest rates. Now, I want to ask you this because there's obviously a ton of logistical challenges, not to mention legal hurdles that they have to overcome with. Do you think that this is a realistic goal, or do you think it was just simply a political talking point that they get on a daily basis? Keep reminding the American people that we are all over these illegal immigrants, that we are deporting them at record-breaking, at earth-shattering numbers.
You know, the thing about this whole
Honestly, it's a little bit of both. Trump really wants to do that, but he's having trouble. But doesn't stop him from portraying the image of he is. Which, honestly, is not good, but until enough people stand up and actually really start making it known that this shit's not okay. I mean, civil unrest is here, people. Civil disobedience is here, people. It's might be a little bit past that time, even. It might be time for civil disturbance to be thrown back in their faces. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. The American people are ants. Together we are strong. And those fat-ass grasshoppers are hoarding an awful lot of fucking tasty-looking berries. Fucking low-hanging fruit. How do you get to a man like Elon? It's simple. He's material. You want to take and destroy a man like Elon? There's many ways to do it. Some just so happen to involve market play. Some just so happen to involve sabotage play. I mean, if a yacht gets a hole that nobody finds out about and sinks in the harbor, oh well. If the private jet happens to get a few holes in its fuel tank, oh well. If some random group decides to melt a few servers, oh well. They're playing mind games. Quite literally. And a lot of it's done through communication. Rather vulnerable communication. I think it's about time those vulnerabilities got exploited. But I don't have the ability to do that, and I don't suggest anyone do it. If you have to ask why, forget it. It will not be explained. No, it's too fucking simple. Now, I am a leader of no group, and have no way to give anybody any kind of instructions. As a matter of fact, I don't think anybody of good enough skill or position even watches my show. Or knows I exist to watch my show. So, if they did, cool. But you use any of my suggestions, and you're going to find out that's exactly what they are. Suggestions. That I have recommended nobody do. To be clear. You can say what you will about my position on it, but I also know the gravity of which it is I'm saying. So, yeah. It's about time these rich fuckers started to feel what it's like to be us. And if you got a problem with that, you're in the wrong place.
Thing is that it's all political.
Don't know if Robitussin for your cough, Advil for your aches, or Theraflu for, well,
This whole thing is that it's all political horseshit. Donald Trump's entire political career and his defining issue has been going after immigrants. And they have really ridden that unfortunate sentiment again. Like, they demagogue the issue. Because, yes, we have an illegal immigration problem. We do have a problem with border security. This has been a problem for 30 years. It didn't just happen yesterday. It's not Joe Biden's fault. It's not, guess what? There were illegal immigrants pouring over this border, too, when Donald Trump was president. So this has been an issue back since amnesty happened under Reagan, okay? When Reagan decided to do the amnesty bill, he was promised enforcement. And then the enforcement never happened. And then you had interests on both sides. Some folks, like Republicans, who own businesses, and farmers who like the cheap labor, they were like, well, maybe it's not so bad. And then you have Democrats that thought, okay, well, we have new constituents here potentially, we'll let them over here, we'll give them amnesty, and then they can vote for us. And then we've got more folks on our side. There were competing interests here that allowed our immigration system to get completely out of control. Now, Republicans, when I worked on the Hill, I worked on this issue. I was a Hill staffer for 7 years. I am a border hawk. I understand border security very well. I advocated for 2 Border Patrol agents who were unjustly prosecuted and sent to federal prison for shooting an illegal alien drug smuggler who had $1 million worth of drugs in the back of a van. That ended up going to prison because of a paperwork mix-up. That was crazy. 10 and 11 years. I advocated for a presidential pardon of them. We were successful in the commutation.
Good.
Like, I'm no wallflower when it comes to immigration. However, it's multifaceted. And they are no longer good faith actors trying to...
Seriously, everything in the world is multifaceted. Once again, nothing is black and white. We live in a world of 50 Shades of Grey. I don't care how much y'all hate the movie, or may have issues with it being cringe or whatever. This is real life.
YouTube. Jim Rockford. Do you have PS4?
I have a PS4. I do not currently have a TV to hook up to. My baby girl.
Solve the problem. They want to continue to exploit this issue here at the expense of like human lives. So these are real human beings that are coming over here. Are there gang members and drug smugglers? Yes, there are, but they're not making that distinction. Where I live in North Virginia, there was a story just last week about a Hispanic man that was pulled over by ICE. That they got the wrong identity and they had him handcuffed. They didn't believe that he was a naturalized citizen until he showed him his real ID that had a little symbol on it that you cannot fake these IDs, these documents. So at that point, they finally were like, oh, and they had to let him go. But he had two workers with him who they ended up taking into custody. We don't know their status. And he said he got interviewed by the local DC NBC station, and he said, I was a Trump supporter. I supported Donald Trump because I thought that he was going to go after the criminals. I didn't think that meant he was going to target people like me. And I was like, oh, fuck's sake.
Right?
What do you think he was going to do? You really think that he cares about this? Exactly. Yep. And I'm like, cognitive dissonance is a hell of a drug. A lot of people do against their own interests all the time. And a lot of people of color, women, and Hispanics who voted for Donald Trump thinking that, oh no, it's not going to impact us, they're in the finding out page.
40%, I think, is around the number of Hispanics that voted for Donald Trump. Right now, when I first started the National Diversity Coalition, I started because his entire base, his rallies were all white.
Oh, I remember.
It looked like a Klan meeting. And now to have 40% Hispanic, and then you start to see buyer's remorse, like this gentleman that got pulled over there and detained. He's not the only one. You see every day countless individuals who are being either arrested, placed with ankle monitors, or already deported to like Panama, where they're placed in a Panamanian internment camp that's in the middle of the Panamanian jungle, right? I mean, these are not normal times that we are living.
No. Or they're getting sent to Gitmo, right? They're getting sent to Gitmo, which once again is not efficient. Do you know how much money it costs to do this? It is, they decided, I mean, it is, we're talking about trying to save waste, fraud, and abuse. Sending these people to Gitmo is 10 times the cost of detaining them here and then deporting them. These planes, these military flights they're using to repatriate them to their old country cost 5 times what it would cost to send them back properly. Like, this is insane. They're using it because it is an issue that they want to demagogue, and so it doesn't matter whether it's actually efficient or not. Right. That's all it is. That's all it is. It's ruining people's lives.
It sure is. It's going to ruin all of our lives, especially when you go to the grocery store to buy a basket of blueberries or strawberries, and you pay $25 because these are jobs that Americans do not want.
And it hurts the farmers. They lose their crops. They lose tariffs. But that's another area that I don't understand why Democrats do not lean into more, is how devastating this is to the breadbasket of America, our farmers. And, you know, whether it's the tariffs with their soybeans and their wheat and their, you know, pork, all of these things, we have an international global marketplace. They rely on our relationships with other countries and trade. And the tariffs devastated the last time. The only thing that kept a lot of farmers afloat was the fact that Trump's government subsidized them. They had to pay with taxpayer money to make up for the losses that they were losing because of the tariffs on China and other places that were misplaced. Like, this is so ass backwards. But people are not communicating this. A tariff is a tax on the American taxpayer.
Some people
a
are.
tax on us. That's it. Tariffs are a tax on you. That should be a repeated thing over and over and over again. Most people don't know what tariffs are. They get gaslit into believing that the other country pays it. No, they do not.
Right. If you want to repeat now the ongoing continuous lies that are still coming out of this GOP talking points memo, you see the GOP claiming a long
Anyone
our
told?
president, that the
Anyone
economy
told?
is booming. The economy's doing great. We're doing great. We're just doing it's absolutely great, right?
It's actually great on Joe Biden.
Right? Here's what we do know: consumer confidence has fallen since President Trump was inaugurated. All right. That being said, how do you explain this disconnect between obvious, legitimate economic data and public sentiment as dictated by the GOP and Trump statements?
Well, a lot of this falls on the mainstream media and how it's reported.
That I can't argue with.
A lot of this falls on the mainstream media and how it's reported. There should be screaming headlines and chyrons every single day about the economic dire straits we're heading down. The stock market and your 401ks taking a nosedive like last week when Trump couldn't decide. He did the weeble wobble economic policy of, oh, yes, tariffs, no tariffs, yes, tariffs, no tariffs. Well, which is it? Which is it? You can't make up your mind, Mr. Genius businessman? You can't decide? You don't know what you're doing? Yeah, because he doesn't know what he's doing. The guy bankrupted casinos. And they should keep repeating that. Trump bankrupted casinos. He's bankrupting America. Like, so the problem is that it's not covered with the sense of urgency. Because the average American, they don't listen to us and like news and all of that the way we all do. Like, your audience is engaged and we are engaged, but a lot of people out there, they just read headlines.
Yeah.
It's just click this. And there isn't a collective sense of urgency coming from the people who are our main purveyors of information. They're going to think that it's not a big deal. Egg prices. Why did everybody start paying attention to egg prices? Because it was a story that kept not repeated over and 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 over. The price of eggs, the price of eggs, the price of eggs, the price of, right? So people started paying attention. I wasn't really even paying attention to the price of eggs until someone said, the price of eggs has gone up. And I'm like, you know what? Actually, they have.
Yeah.
And then it was all about the price of eggs. Now, the price of eggs aren't coming down. They're going up 40% potentially this year. And that came from Trump's USDA. Why? Well, we have a bird flu issue. We've had to call a bunch of chickens because of bird flu. But what is Donald Trump doing to try to bring egg prices down? He's not telling you. That's not Biden's fault. Egg prices were $4 a carton under Biden. What about inflation? What about what Goldman Sachs and the markets are talking about? They're all scared to death because they're worried that we're going to end up in a recession. Donald Trump was asked about this by Maria Bartiromo, of all people. She actually had a tough interview with him in some parts where he couldn't answer it. He just goes back to the sales pitch. He goes back to the BS sales pitch. Oh, no, everything's wonderful. Telling everyone the pain you're feeling now.
It's only temporary.
Oh, yeah? Okay. Who are now going to be on unemployment, that can't feed their families, that don't get their benefits, where their parents are thrown out of their nursing homes, where their Medicaid has been cut, all thanks to Donald Trump and Elon Musk and what they're doing every day.
They can't pay for their insulin. They can't pay for anything. Now again, I keep saying it. I'm going to say it again. Fuck around and fuck.
And bumper. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of fuck around and find out games. Obviously. In multiple different places. Y'all are running a little slow, though. Just saying.
Find out. This is what's going to happen, and it's why I truly believe that if the Democrats, me as a Democrat, I've been a lifelong Democrat, if we don't seize on these and again use it in 3-word bumper stickers so that we can get to that silent majority that ended up shifting from the Biden win in 2020 to a Trump win in 2024. Maybe it's partially my fault also. Maybe I don't speak enough bumper stickers and I get too much into the weeds. I have been yelling from the rooftops. I have written 2 New York Times bestsellers, number 1 and number 6. The second one, Revenge, how Donald Trump weaponized the United States Department of Justice against his critics. What is the book about? The book screams, what will happen if Donald, who decides he wants to be an authoritarian, ends up violating your First Amendment constitutional right of free speech as they did to mine.
It's happening right now.
Amen. Not because Michael Cohen says so, because federal court judge Alvin K. Ellenstein said so. That what he found was retaliatory by Bill Barr, designed within which to curtail my First Amendment freedom of speech constitutional right, not to allow me to publish a book and not allow me to speak to the media about it because the president did not want it. All right? We are seeing it right now. We are seeing this with Trump making the same exact Putin-esque type of actions where he has stated that the Department of Education will cancel $400 million in funding, and I'm just going to use one school as an example, to Columbia University, based upon a single protest. Now, I just had a fight with a friend of mine, highly educated Ivy League lawyer, right, who is so pro-Israel, like too many of these fucking idiots that live here on the Upper East Side, that they don't see the bigger picture. This is not about anti-Semitism. This is not about Israel versus Hamas. This is about our First Amendment constitutional right. Because the second you lose number 1, number 2 follows, number 3, 4, 5, all the way to the end. Do you think this sets a dangerous precedent for federal intervention in higher education and in other areas?
Oh my God, yes. The chilling effect that this is going to have. We've already seen the chilling effect with the media, right?
No shit.
At the Seneca Project, we actually have merch where we have a shirt that says, "Will not obey in advance." Because that's rule number 1 in Timothy Snyder's book on tyranny, of what to do, what you should not do when you are up against authoritarian regimes. Do not obey in advance, because they will, once they know what you're willing to accept, they'll push it until you have absolutely no way to fight back against them. So, we saw this happen because the mainstream legacy media companies that are now owned by these big conglomerates, right? They have CBS. Well, they've got a merger that they want. So what? Well, this lawsuit with 60 Minutes, maybe we need to settle that. Look at what CNN is doing, reporting that dipshit Scott Jennings is out there with the biggest propaganda bullshitter for Trump on the network. He's getting a pay raise. ABC settling that $15 million, which they would never have been a valid court case. They could have fought that if Trump hadn't won. But they're all scared to death of Donald Trump coming in and shutting them down, or doing whatever, or using the power of government to destroy them. I've got news for you. When you obey like that and you give it to him, he's going to do it to you anyway.
Yeah.
You're never going to earn brownie points with these people. I don't know what it's going to take for them to understand that. So now, it's not only, so it started with the media relatively early on in this. Once Trump got reelected, you started to see them all bending the knee. That's why it's important to support independent media outlets like this one, like ours, like people that have voices and platforms that are getting the truth out there, because we can't rely on the big corporate media anymore. I mean, people can say, well, we never could before, but at least there were, there was the reliable sources here. But now almost everyone is compromised at that level to some degree because they're scared to death of retaliation. And Trump knew this, which is why he went for it first. It's authoritarian playbook 101. Hitler did it, Mussolini did it, Stalin did it, Russia does it. I mean, this is what they do. The other thing now is we're going to academia. This is craziness. Whether it's for whether it's the research grants that I've gotten disseminated now from a lot of universities that rely on those things, for like the NIH or the CDC. University of Alabama is an example, one of the largest employers of all of Alabama. Well, they're getting decimated because they've cut off the research grants, and they've cut off the grants that employ people down there at the University of Alabama. Last time I checked, they overwhelmingly voted for Donald Trump. So that's another example. And it's not just the Columbia universities of the world where Trump is clearly retaliating against them.
Now, I want to make it clear, if there's any Trump supporters watching, this is not mocking. We do not find this amusing. As a matter of fact, we dislike the fact that it's happening to you. And that's why we're saying something, is we're trying to get you to realize, hey, you're not just fucking got a funky feeling. And there's proof to back it up. Come take a look. That's all we're asking.
Because of the pro-Palestinian protests that, listen, some of them are out of control. There was a lot of anti-Semitism going on there. I did not agree with it. Yeah, I didn't agree with that. I thought it was insane. And the way that a lot of places handled it was not great. It also hurt Democrats in the election. But for you to punish it, it's still free speech. But like the leader of that they're claiming was a pro-Hamas guy. They disappeared him. This is in the news today. They ICE detained him and they don't know where he is. Well, are we sure about this? Where is that going to stop? Are they going to start detaining journalists now like they do in Russia? We're not far away from that. We're not that far away. This is how it starts. So we need to be.
When your car breaks down, you take it to a mechanic with no hesitation.
Ad placement.
You need it, and it's not something most guys can fix themselves. I know I can't. And men should think the exact same way about ED. But the reality is, you might be hesitant to seek help. Thankfully, through HIMSS, you can get access to personalized ED treatment without stepping outside the door. HIMSS is changing that, providing you with access to affordable sexual health treatments
I might
from
have
the
viable
comfort
reclaim.
of your own couch. HIMSS provides access to a range of doctor-trusted ED treatments like chewable heart mints and Viagra and Cialis, and the generics up to 95% cheaper. Yeah, that 95% cheaper. And the process is 100% online, so that there's no need for uncomfortable doctor visits.
You'll be back. eMove can't help people customize and set.
And the process is 100% online, so that there's no need for uncomfortable doctor visits. Just answer a series of questions on their site, and a medical provider will determine the right treatment option for you. And if prescribed, your medication ships directly to you for free. No insurance is needed, and one low price covers everything from treatments to ongoing care. And with hundreds of thousands of trusted subscribers, HIMSS can help you find the easy option that works best for you. So start your free online visit today at HIMSS.com/Cohen. That's HIMS.com/Cohen for your personalized ED treatment options. Again, that's HIMS.com/Cohen. And the product mentioned in chewable compound products, which are not qualified or verified by safety or effectiveness by the FDA. Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
What scared me is his position, Donald Trump's position, that we will strip federal funding from any school, program, university that allows it. Is illegal protests.
Yeah.
Now, the question
There's no such thing.
Well, let's just say it is an illegal protest. It's without a
permit. Okay.
And what is the determination predicated on? Is it based upon you didn't get a proper permit, or is it that you don't like the topic that's being protested, or the people that's being protested? Because, my friends, let me be very clear. Just as soon as he finishes beating down on the Muslim community, the black community is next, the brown community, the Hispanic community, right?
Yep.
No, women,
disabled.
Know, if you
Already
read
working
that
on us.
22-page manifesto project 2025, as we have heard MAGA Mike Johnson say in the past, I want to see the United States return to a white, Christian, nationalist country. Of course, one question nobody answered. Can you please tell me from what year to what year the United States was
The Christian
a white
nationalist.
Christian nationalist country?
Right.
Damn
What
right.
do we do with all, for example, the Jews? What do we do with all the Muslims, all the Hindus, all the Buddhists? What
What are you going to do with me?
the Scientologists?
The
What do we
atheist.
do with any other religion that doesn't fall into that? Are we going to have a, going back to the Inquisition, where either you convert or you die? What's going on?
See, my ass running for more.
This has also been a huge undercurrent between the Christian nationalist extremism, which for us at Seneca Project, we put out when we first launched last summer, we put out a couple of very poignant videos with actual clips of what these Christian nationalist pastors think about women, what they plan to do, how they want to get rid of the 19th Amendment, women's right to vote, how they think that women should not, that they should be subservient to their husbands, they shouldn't work, they shouldn't have access to their bank accounts. Like, they don't think that, Charlie Kirk saying women who take, birth control pills are unattractive. All of these horrible things about women, that's just on women. And
Yeah.
as we know that women are considered enemies of the state in authoritarianism. Women, our friend Ruth Ben Gott, who's also on our advisory board, the historian, wrote the book Strongmen. She has a whole chapter about this, about how women having freedom and agency gets in the way of authoritarianism, because you can't have a thriving democracy if women don't have equal rights. So it is this undercurrent of all of this going on is part of this bigger grand scheme.
Uh-huh.
Christian nationalists want to take
Very
that
much
back
is.
where only white straight men, or Christian men, are in charge. Then you couple that with the whole tech bro, like tech feudalism rap that's going on here with the Curtis Jardins of this whole movement, who's this political philosopher, basically thinks that our state should be abolished. The American people should get over their quote dictator phobia. That people who aren't of use should be turned into biodiesel and used for fuel purposes in their techno states. This guy.
Let me turn you into biodiesel, buddy.
Of Peter Thiel, who is also the puppet master for a lot of things concerning J.D. Vance, our vice president. And all of these a lot of these tech bro oligarch guys follow this kind of sick political philosophy that wants to fundamentally dismantle our democracy, destroy it, and turn it into these little network states where tech CEOs run everything and the rest of us are just slaves to them. This is all happening in real time. And Donald Trump is a useful idiot here. He doesn't even have to know what's going on here with that. Well, no, he sees it. Well, my opinion here is that Donald Trump. Donald Trump is.
Useful idiot, right?
He's a useful idiot on a lot of things. He's a useful idiot on a lot of things. I don't think that he has a political philosophy that's on the same level of those guys. He sees what he sees for himself and how he can benefit. I don't even think he realizes the manipulation that these guys have for a much larger plan. He's a pawn in that plan. He's got his own motivations. He's a useful idiot for Putin and on the world stage for sure in a lot of ways. But again, it all comes back in his mind. How does it benefit him?
Yeah.
That's where it's a useful idiot. Because you're telling me, Michael, that he actually is sitting around talking to political philosophers about network states and techno-feudalism and this whole
No.
He's not. But what he knows how to be devious enough to pull down $6.5 billion, and that's only what we know since becoming president. Now, yes, Elon Musk has pulled down $240 billion from becoming president-elect. Far from it. Trump is not a useful idiot. He doesn't give a shit. He has no policy. He has no belief system whatsoever other than what can he do to make a buck. So with that,
he's a useful idiot to these guys. I mean,
Yeah.
I think we're quibbling over language, but to these guys, these are kind of these are the oligarchs that rule the oligarchs. These guys are all useful idiots to them. They're pawns, and we're all wrapped up in this now, and people need to pay attention to, Donald Trump and the whole crypto obsession, and trying to start a sovereign wealth fund and selling off our national lands to God knows who, Saudi Arabia or whoever, to pay for a sovereign wealth fund. Like, these are such un-American things that
Except if he creates a sovereign wealth fund, Kara, let me be very clear. He's going to want to own a piece of it the same way that the Prime Minister of Qatar owns a large percentage of it.
That's why those things don't work in a country that's a democracy. It's a slush fund for corrupt government.
Amen to that. So look, Kara, the hour goes by quick. I have one last question.
Yeah.
Because again, there's so much misinformation and disinformation and malinformation. GOP and Trump make these claims that he has brought in over $2 trillion in manufacturing investment to the United States. Okay? Let me be very clear. The Bureau of Economic Analysis reported that claims for investment of less than $200 billion so far for these capital expenditures. Now, forgetting about the fact that you cannot build a manufacturing facility for automobiles or really for anything, including pharma, in the 2 years. My question to you, how do you explain the discrepancy and the fact that Americans, I don't care if you have an advanced degree in economics, I don't care if you're a doctor, a lawyer, an accountant, or you're somebody that just took
Young lady, that's a scratchy post.
GDE exam, a GED, right? I don't care, right? As far as I'm concerned,
Can't even let me skip it.
I don't care, right? As far as I'm concerned, a fact is a fact. What's the discrepancy?
Somebody got to change, kid.
Well, in Trump's America, a fact is not a fact. And
Right.
when, alternative facts, remember? This is all part of the successful propaganda operation that I mentioned earlier, in repeating things over and over again and having an ecosystem that the right wing has built over decades to disseminate information, to indoctrinate people over and over again that aren't that don't pay attention.
Yeah.
Right? Trump said he loves the poorly educated. Yeah, because when you're not informed with the facts and you're not a critical thinker, you're gonna take what people tell you because you're like, oh well, that makes sense to me. Okay, well, I'm gonna believe that. You build this cult of personality, which is just, I think a lot of people underestimated that connection. And when you have enablers around you that are now
Some
collaborating,
people did.
who are
Not
all
all
in
of
on
us.
it, that are willing to sing from the same hymnal over and over again, repetition creates reality. So facts don't matter. How many of us are literally arguing with people we thought were good people in our own family, that the sun rises in the west and sets in the east? And you're like, no, it doesn't. And they're like, yes, it does. And you're the asshole for telling me that I'm wrong. Because Trump and scientists have now told me we need to question this. The sun actually does not rise in the east. And you're going, what? It's the world turned upside down. But this is what happens when you do not have a counterfactual opposition pushing back and going, no, and you know better. No, it doesn't.
Thank you.
And this is the problem. There has to be
This is something I've been saying for a while.
opposition, and there has to be information dissemination that counters this. And it's got to start now. The urgency should have started 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But you cannot waste any more time.
Seriously.
I don't know what it's going to take for Democrats and everybody else that's trying to do this like us. We're trying. But it's going to require more coordination, more investment, and more commitment. Because the most committed side wins. And we do not have time to fuck around anymore. We cannot. No more cowering in the corner. No more crying over the last election. No more like, woe is me. No more pointing fingers anymore. There needs to be a singular focus to push back against this and fight like hell, or else we are not going to have elections moving forward come 2026. We have to remain vigilant.
I don't know about the not pointing fingers bit. I think it needs to be stated very clearly who is the BBG. I think it needs to be stated clearly who really is on the side of the people. And it needs to be made clear every single fucking day. If you guys let up on that after you've got it, you're gonna fucking lose it.
We have to. It's gonna take us. Nobody's gonna save us but us.
Seneca Project. Tara sent me. Thank you very much, my love. Great seeing you. Always appreciate hearing you.
Thank you, my friend.
I'll see you soon.
Trump is now in his first month in office, and we want to know how you think he's doing as president. You guys know how I think he's doing. But Democrats and other critics say that he's going too far too fast, and they're criticizing him, they're criticizing Elon Musk and others. Now we want to know what the American people think, so we can throw it right back in their face. So vote in the Newsmax poll about President Trump's job performance and whether you approve or not. The answer if you're watching this show, but it takes a minute to let your voice be heard. So we want to share the results on Newsmax. So register your vote
Fuck
today,
Newsmax.
folks. Right?
You guys have a horribly heavy bias. Okay. So I do not have anything else yet. Which means it's they're making the stuff for tomorrow's morning stream. Before I go anyway, any questions or anything? Oh. Because I am going to end up doing some laundry and showering. Maybe. And then wait, decided yet. Not interested in that one. Yeehaw. Stuff. I still really don't have the spell slots for it, but I need to get it done. So still a decent battery. So Dune. I don't wanna.
YouTube. Jorge Tapia, Hola amigo falta sabayar tu sabes yummy face red heart smiling face with open hands. YouTube. Jorge Tapia, S. Hermoso, smiling face, red heart, red heart, red heart, red heart, red heart, smiling face with open hands.
Hola. Uh, gracias. Yeah, my newscast does lack a little bit of flavor to it. There's nothing to see other than me most of the time. Yeah, no shut. I don't really want to end the stream, I kind of need to. I need to get stuff done, no matter how much I do don't want to do it. No matter how much I do or don't have the gumption. Something you can do is work on that damn bot. Not to mention I'm going to have crap I've got to do. Oh, there we go. That makes more sense. Yeah. Dublin, what are you doing? Okay. Maybe that'll fix that now. That'd be nice. Alright. Well, I should probably end this. Till next time, everybody. Keep praying, people. Come pray. That was scary. Anyways.